In the spring of 2024, we did a Rick Steves Munich to Vienna tour. One of the stops was Salzburg. Although Vienna was a major factor in wanting to do this particular tour, Salzburg was a place on my bucket list. Although I may not be a major Mozart fan, this was the center of music in its time, much like Liverpool was during my teen years. Salzburg is the fourth largest city in Austria, with a population of only a little over 150,000 people. The town is built on the site of a former Roman settlement when they came here in 15 BC and was founded as an episcopal see in 696 and became the seat of the archbishop in 798. The name Salzburg was first recorded in the late 8th century, and it's composed of two parts, the first being Salz, German for salt, and the second being Burg, fortified settlement or city. The first use of the German name Salzburg, meaning salt castle, can be traced to 739. The area of the city has been inhabited continuously since the Neolithic age. Its main source of income were salt extraction, trade, as well as gold mining. Christian Doppler, primarily known for his revolutionary theory of the Doppler effect, which has influenced many areas of modern science and technology, was born here. The Hall of Marble Palace is a Baroque hall made of marble and is considered one of the most beautiful and historically significant concert halls in Salzburg. Once upon a time, the Mozart family performed here for the archbishops of Salzburg. The fortress of Hohensalzburg, if I'm saying that correctly, is one of the largest medieval fortresses in Europe, and it dates from the 11th century and is the focal point of the town. You can't go anywhere here without seeing it glare down on you, which I bet that was sort of the reason it was built there. In the 17th century, Salzburg became a center of the Counter-Reformation, with monasteries and numerous Baroque churches being built. Salzburg won its independence from Bavaria in the late 14th century. As the Reformation movement gained steam, riots broke out among the peasants in the areas and around Salzburg. The city was occupied during the German Peasants' War, and the archbishop had to flee to the safety of the fortress, which was why they had it built, and it was besieged for 3 months in 1525. It was in the 17th century that Italian architects and Austrians who had studied the Baroque style rebuilt the city center as it is today, along with many of the palaces. After the surrender to Napoleon in 1803, Salzburg became a part of Austria and was ruled by the Habsburgs. But like everything else following World War I and the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Salzburg, as the capital of one of the Austro-Hungarian territories, became part of the new German Austria. In 1918, it represented the residual German-speaking territories of the Austrian heartland. A memorial plaque to Paris Lodron, who had considerable influence on the history of Salzburg. In 1622, he founded the University of Salzburg, and he began with the drainage of the Ilslinger Marsh, trying to curb the plague in 1625. He also managed to keep Salzburg out of becoming caught up in the 30 Years' War. After Germany invaded the Soviet Union in World War II, Several POW camps for prisoners from the Soviet Union and other nations were set up in the city. During the Nazi occupation, a Romani camp was built in the area which provided slave labor to local industries. It also operated as a transit camp holding Roma before their deportation to German camps or ghettos in German-occupied territories in Eastern Europe. The city was also the location of 5 sub-camps of the Dachau concentration camp. Allied bombing destroyed 7,600 houses and killed 550 inhabitants. 15 airstrikes destroyed 46% of the city's buildings, especially those around the Salzburg railway station. Although the town's bridges and the dome of the cathedral were destroyed, much of its Baroque architecture remained intact. As a result, Salzburg is one of the few remaining examples of a town of its style. American troops entered the city on May 5, 1945, and it became the center of the American-occupied area in Austria. Many people only think Berlin was split between the Allies, but after the war, much of Austria was also divided. Several displaced persons camps were established in the city. After World War II, Salzburg and Upper Austria, south of the Danube, were assigned to the American zone. Salzburg Cathedral is the 17th century Roman Catholic Baroque cathedral dedicated to Saint Rupert and Saint Virgilius. Saint Rupert founded the church in 774 on the foundations of a former church. In 842, the building burnt after being struck by lightning. I wonder if that was a sign. The cathedral was rebuilt in 1181 after being destroyed by another fire. In the 17th century, the cathedral was completely rebuilt in the Baroque style to its present appearance. Salzburg Cathedral still contains the baptismal font in which composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was baptized on January 28, 1756, the day after his birth. The cathedral was indeed damaged in 1944 during the World War II bombing when a single bomb crashed through the central dome over the crossing. Repairs were somewhat slow to take place, but restoration was completed by 1959. Mozart wasn't the only composer from Salzburg. Joseph Haydn, Leopold Mozart, Anton Bruckner, Arnold Schoenberg, Franz Schubert, Gustav Mahler, Johann Strauss II, and Joseph Wolof, just to name a few. Salzburg was exactly what I expected, except for the rain. We could have spent more time here just walking around the old time area, but it rains here 10 to 15 days a month, and we just happen to be right in the middle of some of the biggest downpours. I still would have come here even if I had known it was going to rain.